A young black girl once mocked by her entire school now silences everyone with a punch no one saw coming. You won't believe what awaits in the final showdown. Like the video, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. The recess bell rang and the schoolyard split like clockwork. One side buzzed with loud casual laughter, the other emptiness. That's where Amara stood alone. A small, black girl, wiry with frizzy hair tied back in a loose knot, her uniform baggy and faded, her gaze always lowered. No one stood near her, no one sat beside her, and like clockwork they came. Back from the trash shelter, huh? Macy sneered, stepping forward. Her voice was sweet as poison, her blonde ponytail bouncing behind her. Since when did our school become a charity case? Behind her were three more white girls' pressed uniforms, glossy lips and eyes sharp like polished glass. Amara didn't respond. That just made them grin wider. One yanked her backpack strap, spilling its contents. Another held up a crumpled pair of boxing gloves. "These yours." Thought they were cleaning rags. Laughter exploded. Macy tossed the gloves at Amara's chest. "Put them on. Let's see how your little boxing hobby holds up." Amara didn't move, her face flushed, but her mouth stayed shut. One of the girls, taller, heavier, pulled on gloves, stepping forward like a showboating amateur. "Don't worry," she smirked. "I'll go easy. No scars, at least not on your face." The courtyard fell silent. A few students gathered. One teacher walked by, paused, then moved on, pretending not to see Macy lean close to Amara's ear. Voice cold and sharp. "Listen, garbage. Maybe you can fight, maybe you can study, maybe you can even dream, but you'll always be the black girl living off our taxes. Don't ever forget it." Amara's eyes glistened, but she didn't flinch. Just as the tall girl raised her fist, crack, the sharp crack of a security baton slammed against the concrete made everyone freeze. They turned. The old security guard was standing there, black slightly hunched, but eyes like blades. No one knew his name, only that he was the only black adult on campus besides Amara. "Y'all like fighting?" he said, walking forward, voice low. "I've still got my gloves. Want a real match?" Silence. Macy clenched her jaw but didn't speak. The man picked up the gloves, handed them back to Amara girl. He said, without taking his eyes off the group, "Don't learn to bow. Learn to stand straight, 'cause the day they drop will come." He walked away. No threats, no names taken. But from that day on, Amara noticed every time they knocked her down, he was there. Not to step in, not to catch her, but always watching, like he was waiting for her to get up on her own. Amara didn't sleep that night. She lay awake on the creaky top bunk in the group home, her old boxing gloves beside her, still dusty from the schoolyard. Macy's words echoed like needles under her skin. "You'll never be white enough to belong here," she'd heard worse. But this time it wasn't just the words, it was the way everyone looked at her, like she was some sideshow freak in a charity act. That stung deeper. The next morning at 5:30 a.m., while the rest of the shelter was still asleep, Amara slipped on a worn hoodie, laced her torn sneakers, and walked out the back door. The air was thick with cold fog. She crossed the empty lot behind the school, heading toward the old wing, where a single yellow light glowed. The old security guard was already there, sitting with a steaming cup of coffee. He didn't look surprised. He didn't ask why she'd come. He simply nodded, stood up, and disappeared into a storage shed nearby. When he returned, he was holding a pair of real leather gloves, not the student kind, the kind that had seen blood. "Put these on." Amara hesitated. "I just want to learn how to defend myself." He looked up. His eyes weren't angry, but sharp as ever. "Defense is for surviving, but you don't just want to survive, do you?" She bit her lip, then nodded. He unrolled a dusty mat on the concrete, 2 bricks as weights, a rope tied between plastic chairs to mimic a ring. He didn't talk about form, didn't explain footwork, just gestured for her to step in and began. Every morning after that, Amara showed up. There were no motivational speeches, no smiles, just his raspy voice cutting through the cold. "Step back slower. Don't fear getting hit if you're scared. Look it in the eye." 1 week, 2 weeks, a month. The gloves softened, her hands calloused, her breathing smoothed, her punches gained weight. But more than that, something else cracked. The shame, the silence, the curled back posture of someone taught to shrink. She was punching out every time she'd been laughed at, every hallway whisper, every lowered expectation. Some mornings she could barely stand. Her arms ached, her ribs throbbed. He never comforted her, only said, You were born black, girl. That means you don't get to fall. Not while they're still watching. That night, Amara stared at herself in the mirror. Bruised cheek, sweat-streaked forehead, red, swollen hands. But for the first time in her own eyes, there was no fear. Only fire. The citywide girls' boxing tournament poster went up on the bulletin board Monday morning, a bright red sheet with bold white letters and a slogan across the top. A chance for every young girl to fight and shine. Amara stood in front of it for nearly 3 minutes. Her heart pounded, her fists clenched. Then she picked up the pen and wrote her name. No one was nearby when she signed up, but by lunch the entire school knew. Macy stood in the middle of the cafeteria holding up the sign-up sheet like a trophy, Amara Johnson lightweight division, trying to make it out the hood with her fist. Now, laughter exploded from every direction. A passing teacher glanced over, frowned, then walked on. Formerly silent students joined in. Didn't know shelter kids were allowed to compete. She ever punched anything besides a pillow? Better hope the other girls don't faint from the smell before she lands a hit. Each word hit like a slap, but this time Amara didn't flinch. She didn't leave. She looked up, and for the first time, no one saw her smile, no bowed head, just a girl standing dead center in the cafeteria, completely still, eyes burning like a fuse headed straight for their faces. That afternoon, she brought her signed registration form to the guard. He read it, paused a beat, then nodded. "So it's time I want to fight for real," she said, "not to win, but so I never run again." He didn't smile, didn't praise, just placed her old gloves on the table. Then starting tomorrow, train like your life depends on it. From that day forward, training changed. No more footwork drills, no more light combos. He blindfolded her and made her dodge strikes by sound alone. Made her punch from corners, taught her to hit when she couldn't see, when she was tired, when she was scared. She fell a lot. Some days she could barely stand. He only said one thing: if you want them to fear you, you gotta learn to fear nothing. 3 days before the first match, Macy found her in the hallway. She didn't laugh, didn't scream, just stepped close and whispered, "Step into that ring and we'll show you whose world this is." Amara didn't answer. She didn't blink. She just stared back with the eyes of someone who'd been crushed before and chose to stand without needing anyone's hand. Fight day. The district gym was packed. Most of the crowd were students, parents, coaches, and a swarm of TikTok kids hoping to catch something meme-worthy. When the announcer called out, "Amara Johnson," laughter rippled from the right side of the bleachers where Macy's friends sat. "Here comes the comedy act," one of them yelled. Amara walked out from the back tunnel. Her boxing outfit was slightly too big, her gloves old and faded. Her hair tied tight, her steps were firm, but the eyes on her didn't see stance or footwork, they saw skin. One grown man shouted, "You boxing?" or begging for sympathy. The laughter came again. Amara didn't flinch, didn't look around. She walked straight to the ring, tapped her glove to her chest, and bowed to the referee, just like the old guard taught her. Respect the ring. It's the only place where you don't need anyone's forgiveness. Her opponent, a taller white girl, broad-shouldered, golden hair tied in a clean knot, wore brand new gloves and a custom team jersey. She looked Amara up and down, smirked. "Did no one tell you your kind's fight ring is probably out back behind the dumpsters?" Amara didn't respond. The bell rang. Round 1 began. Immediately, her opponent charged, throwing a straight punch at Amara's face. Amara slipped to the side instinct. No counterpunch, just a calm look in her eyes. She'd seen this before, heard it before, and this time she didn't shrink. 2 steps back, then forward, a left hook. Not strong, not clean, but the crowd fell silent because that was the first punch thrown by a girl they all thought wouldn't even lift her gloves. Her opponent froze, then snarled, charged again like a bull. But Amara had trained for this, absorbing pressure, controlling space, dodging, waiting. She didn't break. She just let her opponent burn herself out. Round 1 ended. No knockouts, but the referee warned Amara's opponent 3 times for illegal hits and excessive force. Amara returned to her corner. The old guard stood just beyond the rail. Silent, no advice, no applause, but his look said everything. "Now it's real, so don't stop." The bell for round 2 rang like a curtain drop. The laughter from round 1 was gone. The students who had been filming for memes now lowered their phones, eyes tracking every step Amara took. Because like it or not, the black girl they thought would fold in 3 punches was still there, still standing. Solid as stone, her opponent came in again, but not recklessly. This time she was cautious now. Measured that last dodge from Amara had been too clean. That left hook hadn't been hard, but it landed at the perfect time, perfect angle. And more than anything, the girl didn't flinch. Amara didn't smile, didn't taunt. She kept her gloves high, lowered her center of gravity, moved her lead, foot light and fast, exactly how the old man had drilled her. She breathed evenly. She wasn't thinking about the crowd, not about Macy, not about the creaky bunk bed or the borrowed gloves. Just this, I'm in the ring, and here nobody gets to look down on me. Her opponent threw a combo, 1, 2, 3. Amara blocked two-step, back once, then snapped forward with a counter left hook. It caught her opponent flush in the face. The girl's head jerked. She stumbled. The crowd gasped, not with mockery this time, but with shock. One punch, one stare back, one loud message. I'm not here to survive. I'm here to fight. The round continued with back and forth pressure, but the crowd's mood had shifted. No one saw Amara as a warm-up act anymore. She pressed forward 3 times, forcing her opponent back. A body shot made the girl double slightly. The ref stepped in to separate them. When the bell rang, some clapping broke out. Not much, but real. The old guard stood from his seat for the first time, didn't speak, just placed one hand on the railing. Eyes locked on her, and Amara understood. She wasn't fighting just to silence a bully anymore. She was teaching the whole room what respect really looks like. The second match came after a rest day. Amara arrived early, headphones on steps, steady eyes forward. As she passed a group of event staff, the talking stopped. One coach from another team pointed toward her, whispered something. She didn't care. She was used to the murmurs. But today those stares weren't dismissive anymore. They were cautious. Her opponent was a red-haired girl with cold gray eyes from a prestigious Northside private school, 3-time tournament champions. The stands behind her were packed with uniformed supporters, clapping in rhythm, chanting the team name. When Amara entered the ring, the clapping stopped. A noticeable gap formed in the crowd. No one sat near the black girl in a plain uniform, no team logo, no trainer beside her. The referee counted down. Bell rang. And Amara immediately knew something was off. The girl didn't open with a jab. She charged full body. The punch went wide, but the elbow clipped Amara's cheekbone. Her vision blurred for a second, no whistle. Second hit an illegal step onto her lead foot. Third, an overhead that smacked near her ear, nearly spinning her off balance. Amara glanced at the ref. He waved it off. Keep going. Now she understood. This wasn't just dirty fighting. This was a test. Not of her skill, but of whether she could hold composure while being reminded of what she was not. Amara tightened her gloves. She didn't react, didn't rush. She stayed back. Managed distance, waited. Her opponent kept coming, elbows, shoulder bumps, half grabs. But Amara refused to take the bait. Midway through the round, the girl got impatient. That was her crack. Amara snapped forward, a clean jab to the chest. Sidestepped, right then a hook to the ear. The redhead staggered, and another punch straight to the ribs, one more square to the nose. The crowd went dead silent. The ref started a count. Round ended. Amara walked back to her corner. Bruised cheek, a small cut on her lip, but her eyes didn't flicker once. The old guard stepped to the railing, spoke low. You know what scares them most? She didn't answer. He nodded. That you're still you, even when they try to drag you through the dirt. The announcer called her opponent's name, and Amara froze for half a second. Not from fear, but because she knew that voice, that name, that face. Standing in the opposite corner, gloves raised, was Jordan, the senior ringleader in Macy's group. The one who once dumped milk over Amara's hair in the hallway, who laughed when she was shoved to the floor, who whispered, "Didn't know, stray dogs could enroll in school." Now Jordan wore an official team uniform, school logo bold on her back, same hateful eyes, same smug grin. But this time no posse, no schoolyard, no silent teachers watching and turning away. Just ropes, gloves, and truth. Amara stepped in, said nothing, bell rang. Round 1, Jordan fought like someone from a program. Tight form, solid power, quick hands, no dirty tricks. She didn't need them. She believed she was better, she thought. I'm trained, you're lucky. Amara spent the first round absorbing pressure, cornered, checked, hit in the ribs, jaw, shoulder, but she didn't break. She didn't rush. She measured, breathed, waited. She wasn't here to steal a win. She was here to dismantle a lie, one punch at a time. Round 2. Jordan started to repeat patterns. Amara struck, a jab with the left. Jordan dodged exactly as expected. Amara pivoted, threw a hook with her right straight into Jordan's shoulder. She staggered. The crowd gasped. Next, an uppercut to the chest. Jordan reeled back again and again. She wasn't dominating anymore. She was scrambling. No one ever expected the orphan black girl, the one they once called Parasite in a uniform, to force a city-level athlete backward, but it was happening in real time. Round 3, Jordan swung hard, missed. Amara didn't strike. She just stared back as if to say, "I've risen from nothing. You've never known how to fall." The final bell rang. Jordan collapsed to her knees. The referee raised Amara's hand. The crowd erupted, but she didn't look at them. She returned to her corner, sat down, breathed deep, then smiled for the first time. Not because she beat someone, but because for the first time she didn't belong at the bottom anymore. The final name on the championship card, Macy Whitmore. The crowd erupted, thunderous cheers and chants. She stepped out in a custom kit, her team logo gleaming across her back, blonde ponytail bouncing with every step, her confidence. The kind you only see in people who've never had to fight for their place. Her old school friends lined the front row, screaming her name like it was already written in gold. Then came Amara Johnson. The volume didn't spike, it dipped. Not out of disrespect this time, but because nobody was certain anymore. Macy stood in her corner, cracking her neck, raising her gloves, soaking in the spotlight. Then she looked at Amara and smiled. Not the mocking grin of the schoolyard. Something tighter, sharper. Like, "I see you now, but I'm still ending this." Amara didn't smile back. She stared, unblinking. In the prep room, the old guard didn't hand her gloves, didn't give a final drill. He just stood in front of her and said, "She's the last one," Amara nodded. "Not for revenge," he said. "You're ending what they thought you were." Amara clenched her fists. "I know. And when you step in that ring," he added, "don't let the crowd decide the story. Let your fists do that." She entered the ring. No laughter, no jokes. Just silence charged like a storm about to break. They stepped to center, touched gloves. Macy leaned in. "No surprises this time, Amara. I've seen the videos." Amara tilted her head, whispered back, "But you haven't seen me hit for real." The bell rang. The final match began. The bell rang like a blade slicing through the silence. No cheers, no chants. The entire arena seemed to hold its breath. Macy stepped forward like someone born to win. Her opening jab was textbook fast, sharp, straight to the face. Amara blocked it, but still staggered. One step back. Macy didn't let up 3 more punches in quick succession, each delivered with precision and power. No tricks, no cheap shots. Just raw, polished arrogance. But Amara didn't flinch. She pivoted, her heel slipped the next strike, dipped low and slid right. Her first counter, a glancing hook, landed on Macy's shoulder. Macy paused half a second, then smiled. That same smirk Amara had seen too many times before. "You think that's enough to drop me?" Amara didn't answer. She just breathed, steadied her rhythm. Eyes locked on every twitch of Macy's footwork. The crowd began to lean in. This wasn't like any match before. Neither girl was afraid. Neither girl was backing down. Macy switched her stance, moving from full-pressure offense to distance control. She began to circle, testing angles, drawing Amara out. She knew Amara couldn't sustain aggression forever. If she could force her to chase, she'd wear her down. Amara saw it, felt it, and didn't bite. She didn't walk into the trap, she waited. Then Macy's jab came in just a little too wide. That was all Amara needed. She slipped in left hook quick and clean, followed by a pivot and a straight right to the chest. Macy stumbled half a step back. She stayed upright, but her balance wobbled. The crowd gasped, short, sharp, like a collective breath they hadn't realized they were holding. The two fighters reset, both panting, both sweating, eyes no longer full of contempt or fear. Just fire, just fight behind the rail. The old guard stood with arms folded. He didn't speak, didn't nod, but for the first time there was pride clear and steady in his gaze. Round 2 opened slower but with a deadlier edge. Macy stopped charging. She kept her distance circled constantly, playing the rhythm game, trying to wear Amara down. And it worked. Amara's footwork slowed, each step grew heavier, her breathing sharp and shoulders aching. She wasn't surprised. The old guard had warned her. When your body gives out, you'll meet who you really are. Macy noticed the fatigue. She turned up the pace, quick bursts. 1-2, then back, 1-2, then back. A bleed-out strategy. Every punch was measured, not to knock her out, but to make her hurt. A straight to the chest, a hook to the ribs, a slight shove to the shoulder, followed by a knee that almost connected. Amara stumbled. Again, her forehead dripped sweat. Her gloves felt like stone. Vision blurred from tears squeezed out, not by sadness, but sheer screaming. Strained, the crowd stirred. Someone yelled, "Don't fall." Johnson. And it wasn't mockery this time. It was real, raw, hopeful. But Amara couldn't hear them anymore. All she could hear was her own heartbeat and the memory 10 years old shoved in her shelter bedroom. Kids kicking her in the back, no one stopped them. She laid there pretending to be unconscious because she was too scared to get up. She didn't rise then, but she would now. Macy launched a vicious left. Amara didn't dodge. She rolled with it, took the shoulder hit, then snapped forward with her entire hip and core firing her right like a spring-loaded piston. Crack! The punch landed full on Macy's face. Her head snapped. One step back, then another, eyes wide. The arena exploded not because the punch was perfect, but because the girl they thought was done just swung back. Amara didn't chase. She stayed still, breathing hard, eyes half shut, fists clenched, legs trembling. But she stood. She stood like someone who once stayed down and would never do it again. Macy stumbled back 2 more steps, gloves raised by reflex. No tactics, no smirk. Her face wore an expression no one had ever seen from her before, disbelief. Not because the punch hurt, but because the girl she thought would break in round 1 was still standing. And worse, she was staring back with calm, cold-focused calm. Amara didn't charge. She didn't need to. She wasn't fighting for recognition anymore. Now she was in control of space, of rhythm, of the entire arena. Every second, every step, every gaze from the crowd belonged to her. Macy tried to rally. She threw a left hook, then a wide right, but they lacked power. Amara blocked them with her left glove, leaned back. No counter, just waiting. Macy began to breathe harder. Sweat soaked her back, her footwork faltered. She still held her posture like the crowd from her past was still watching, but now no one was chanting her name. No one believed this win was guaranteed. Amara stepped forward, just one step, didn't throw a punch, just stood close enough to say, "Victory isn't about landing the final hit. It's about what's left when everything else falls off." Macy fired a desperate counter. It wasn't clean, it wasn't smart, it was panic in motion. Amara saw the opening. She could have ended it. She could have landed the cleanest strike of the match, but she didn't. She stepped back. Gloves up, still silent. She let Macy feel it, let her know that the win had already left her, and no punch could bring it back. The bell rang. End of round 3, no eruption from the crowd. They didn't need to cheer because everyone knew there was no need for scorecards. The real result had been decided the moment one girl stood her ground, and the other didn't know what to do with that. No one spoke when the final bell rang. The arena didn't erupt, it held its breath. Not because they were waiting for the decision, but because deep down, everyone already knew. You didn't need a referee to call this one. Amara didn't collapse, didn't slump. She stepped back into her corner, still standing tall, back resting lightly against the ropes, gloves hanging at her sides. Her breathing was heavy, but even her eyes stayed fixed on the center of the ring, where just minutes ago power, reputation, and cruelty had all come to die. Across from her, Macy dropped into her seat, one glove halfway off, head bowed. Her face was pale, not from pain, but from the unfamiliar weight of a loss she couldn't blame on luck, bad calls, or flukes. She didn't look up, didn't search for the crowd. She knew, for the first time, she had no excuse. A few of her old friends stood up, hands twitching toward a clap or maybe some words of comfort, then froze. Something had shifted. Not just a title, a truth. Something deep and unspoken about what they thought they knew and who they thought belonged where. At the center of it all, the referee collected the scorecards. 3 judges. A couple nods. A whisper. It all took 15 seconds, yet felt like a lifetime. Amara didn't look toward them. She didn't wait for the verdict because she didn't need it. She didn't need paper to validate what had just happened. She had earned something beyond a number. She had taken her place without permission. Finally, the referee raised his right hand. The announcement rang out. Winner! Amara Johnson. Applause broke. Not all at once, not explosive, but steady, rhythmic. A confirmation not of surprise, but of something that had slowly become obvious to everyone watching. Then came the cheers. Half the stands rose. Someone yelled her name. Amara. Not as mockery, not with pity, but like a declaration. No one laughed anymore. No one called her a joke, because you can't laugh at someone who just walked through fire and made you watch her do it. Macy left the ring in silence. Head down. No speeches, no high fives. Her friends didn't follow. Maybe they didn't know how to anymore. And Amara, she stood there for a few more seconds. No raised fists, no screaming, no tears. She bowed her head, untied her gloves, wiped the sweat from her brow, then turned and walked off the stage slowly, one step at a time as the crowd roared behind her. She didn't need confetti, didn't need to be carried. She had already won the moment she chose not to step back, not to beat someone else, but to never be told again she didn't belong. The next morning, the local newspaper printed a photo of Amara in the center of the ring, sweat on her brow, gloves at her side, not smiling, not celebrating. Just standing, and the headline read, "The shock named Amara Johnson, the champion, no one saw coming in" on social media. A clip of her final punch hit nearly 800,000 views in under 12 hours. Some cheered, some questioned, but most were silent because truth has a way of speaking so loudly even doubters have to sit still. A girl with no team, no sponsor, no official coach, had just taken down a high school icon. Amara sat in the group home rec room, her medal resting on the table next to a cold lunchbox. She didn't know what to do with it. There were no parents to show. No one asked for a photo. Just a girl staring at sunlight through a window, like maybe the fight had never even happened. The phone rang. She answered. Amara Johnson. A calm male voice asked, "This is Coach Simmons, scouting manager for the South District Valkyries semi-pro team. We'd like to invite you to a training session." She paused. "Did you watch the match?" "All 3 rounds," he replied. "And the moment you didn't finish your opponent when you could have. We're not just looking for someone who can hit. We want someone who knows what's worth hitting." She nodded even though he couldn't see. They exchanged times, locations. She hung up. No smile, no fist pump. Just turned back to the table, finished her food. A few hours later, she walked into school to file paperwork for her competition record. Inside the principal's office, she found a scene that stopped her in her tracks. Macy, hair down, uniform spotless, eyes lowered. Next to her, her mother, a sharp-faced woman in a power suit, lips red, expression strained and furious. The principal kept his tone measured. "We've reviewed the footage. The match was clean." Amara's performance followed every rule. The mother clutched her purse tighter. Her voice was a whisper that hissed like venom. "I still refuse to believe my daughter lost to someone who came from nothing." The principal glanced at Amara, then turned back and replied softly, "Maybe that's exactly why she won." Amara said nothing. She glanced at Macy. The girl didn't look back. As Amara walked out, one of the PE teachers, who used to overlook her in gym class, stepped into the hallway. "Congratulations," he muttered. "Didn't think you'd get this far." She looked at him, long and quiet, then answered, voice low but unshakable. "I did, a long time ago." The South District Valkyries Training Center sat deep in the city's industrial zone. No banners, no grand entrances, just a faded silver building with a rolling steel door. Inside, sweat hand wraps, heavy bags, and reality. Amara arrived early, backpack slung over one shoulder, old hoodie, the same worn gloves. No one greeted her. No one smiled. Everyone was busy hitting bags, jumping rope, doing drills, punching reflex balls. She stood at the entrance for a few seconds, then walked in like entering a jungle where the toothless get eaten. Coach Simmons didn't waste words. He nodded once and pointed to ring 3. 3 minutes on 1 minute. Rest, 3 rounds. "Let's see what's left after you beat some schoolgirls." She didn't reply. Took off her hoodie, climbed into the ring. Across from her, another woman stepped up, taller, carved muscle, a jaw like stone. "Welcome to the real world," the woman muttered. No smile, no handshake. The first round started like any other fight Amara had seen, but within 20 seconds she knew. This was different. Punches came faster, hit harder. Movement was silent, calculated, deadly. Amara didn't break, but she was overwhelmed. No rhythm, no time to counter. Every second was defense. Round 1 ended. She gasped for breath, chest heaving. No one approached. "No, you okay?" Just Simmons watching from across the room. Arms folded, expression unreadable, as if waiting to see. Will she quit or will she tighten her gloves? Round 2. She didn't fight with brute strength. She fought with her brain. She read patterns, watched footwork, waited. then precise counters, not strong but accurate. By the final minute, she landed a clean hook that made the other fighter step back for the first time. There were no cheers, but eyes shifted. Someone tapped a heavy bag once. Not applause, but a signal. She wasn't a viral fluke. She was here to take space. Round 3 ended. She sat in her corner, wiped sweat from her brow. Coach Simmons approached, voice flat. Be here tomorrow, 6 a.m. We don't need prodigies. We need people who don't quit on themselves. Amara nodded. No begging, no big thanks. Just a nod, because she knew this wasn't a place to be welcomed. It was a place to survive until no one dared push her out again. 1 week after the championship, the name Amara Johnson was everywhere online, on articles, TikToks, flashy thumbnails that read, "From shelter, kid to champion, the punch that shut a city up." They called her a phenomenon, an example, a symbol, but no one asked, did she want to be one? The local sports channel invited her on air. They sat her in a brightly lit room across from a woman in a red blazer who smiled like it was scripted. Welcome, Amara, the girl who made an entire city hold its breath. Amara nodded awkwardly, unsure if she was supposed to laugh. The lights were too bright. The chair was too soft. They're calling you the fist of justice. How does it feel to represent the unheard? Amara paused. I just fought not to be hit. Soft laughter trickled from behind the cameras. A floor producer gestured, say more. The host jumped in. So modest, but clearly you're an inspiration. After the show, a media rep pulled her aside. We've got some sponsorship offers coming in, sports brands apparel. We could help shape your image. Strong, resilient, unbreakable, very sellable. She looked at him, eyes quiet, cold. Was she a person or someone's marketing slogan? That same day, a brand shoot dressed her in bright neon gear, posed her next to a clean dumbbell she'd never lifted. Big smile, Amara. Remember, you're a beacon of hope. Let the world see how beautiful your struggle is. She smiled, forced jaw tight, because she knew they didn't want her story. They wanted a clean version they could trim to 15 seconds. That night, she sat alone outside the training center. It had started to rain, soft, steady. Her old school security guard, now retired, still texted her sometimes. One came in, you're up against a tougher opponent than any ring. Other people's expectations. She read it, locked her phone, lowered her head. She didn't cry, but for the first time she wondered, what if I lose without even knowing it? 2 days later, Amara sat across from 3 men in suits in a sleek sports media office. On the table, a 3-year contract worth 6 figures. It came with a full branding package, interviews, endorsements, curated social media presence, and a campaign titled The Rise. All we need is your signature, the man in the middle said. We'll handle the rest, events, press. You'll be the face of a new generation, the kind of story America loves from nowhere to everywhere. Another added, we suggest adjusting your background slightly, you tone down the orphanage stuff. Avoid political comments, keep things clean and uplifting. The right kind of inspiration. Amara didn't answer. She looked at the logo on the contract, then at her hands calloused raw from this morning's training. Outside the glass wall, a test poster hung, her face beaming in a pristine white tracksuit, gloves tucked under her arm like props. That wasn't her. Just a version of her that wouldn't scare people. She placed the pen on the table, didn't sign, lifted her head. Thank you, but I'm not signing. Her brows furrowed. Is it the financial terms? We can. She shook her head. It's because that's not me. I don't need a sanitized label to inspire people. I need to stand and be seen for exactly who I am. She rose, left the room. The door clicked shut behind her. No one followed. That same day, she returned to the training gym. No cameras, no lights, just the smell of sweat, old wood and work. Coach Simmons saw her. Didn't flinch, didn't sign. No. You know that won't make life easier, she nodded, but it makes breathing easier. He pointed to the far corner. Wrap up, sparring in the morning. She said nothing, just laced her gloves, stepped into her place. Not because she needed to be seen, but because she'd never been in the wrong place to begin with. From the kid pushed out of every playground, Amara claimed a place no one was willing to give her. Thanks for watching all the way through. If this story moved you, don't forget to like and share the video and hit subscribe so you never miss another powerful story like this one.